My mother and father were slaves, both of them, see? And I use that to prove that you don't have to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth to become something. I have made it. I wrote 5 Broadway shows, you see, and that's an achievement. First I went with a medicine show. You're too young, maybe you don't know what a medicine show is. Then I went to play in the houses of ill repute. Well, you know what they are. Then I went to play for the lightweight champion in the world, Joe Gans, the Goldfield Hotel, 1907. I've been playing for 72 years for my living. And I played the Charleston Rag. I didn't write, I couldn't write music in 1899. The same year Scott wrote Maple Leaf Rag, I composed. I couldn't write now. I couldn't write music until 1915. I composed the Charleston Rag, see? Ted Lewis, I played with all of them. I can't just remember them.
Did you know Louis Armstrong?
Huh?
Did you know Louis Armstrong?
Oh, yeah, I knew him personally. I knew him when he come from New Orleans and he came to Chicago. I happened to be playing with my big show, Shuffle Along. I wrote Shuffle Along, Chocolate Dandies, Elsie. These are the Broadway shows.
What about Dr. Pepper?
I don't know. I can't explain it because I'm not a scientist. I'm only a musician. But it's a different drink from any drink that I have ever drunk in my life.
And you like it?
Yeah, and I love it. This old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play their own way, gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, they're root beers by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in this whole wide world. Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper. I love that drink. I love it. Well, when I started playing, actually, my first stringed instrument was a little homemade 5-string banjo that my dad made, one of those fretless kind. It was in the summer of 1934. I was 11 years old then. And then when I was 13, I borrowed one of my cousin's guitars. And Dad laughed and said, if you'll learn to play a tune on that by this evening when I get back from work, I'll go to town with you Saturday and buy you one. And we went and got me a little $12 Stella. And I was listening to people like the late Jimmy Rogers and Delmore Brothers. And wasn't very long then till I began to seriously try to learn to play the guitar when I heard Merle Travis play. I guess he's idoled a lot of people. I played guitar sort of locally around the dance groups and went to fiddlers' conventions. To be honest, I didn't play any professionally speaking until 1962. But boy, I'd done a lot of picking before that. This old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play their own way, they gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry. That's what Dr. Pepper's got, originality. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, when you're hot and thirsty. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, there's root beers by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, good old Dr. Pepper. Well, that's my impression of a Dr. Pepper, I know.
So when I was 3 years old, I was around beating on tin cans. 7, I was trying to play harmonic. 9, I was doing very good. And 13, I thought I was great. I switched to the guitar when I was 17. I'm now cute 59 years old. I must have been there a good half a century. So now we finna start another tour in the States now. We're gonna play in the city this week at Quiet Night. Then we'll go up in up around Boston someplace and play a night or so, then go to New York at the Carnegie Hall.
Great.
From there we go to Raleigh, North Carolina, and then down in Florida, back up to Georgia, and switch back to Boston, cross Canada for 2 weeks.
You got something to do then.
Yeah, I got it cut out from out of Christmas. Jimmy Rogers, Otis Spann, James Cotton, and a lot of those boys, they came up through my band, through my organization.
Where does that music come from?
Mississippi, out of my heart. So words keep turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play it that way, gotta sing a different song that gives life a flavor, a little style of poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, as originality. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not root beer, that root beer by the stove. So drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. Hey, you can drink Dr. Pepper, just drink it every day. Well, drink Dr. Pepper, baby, drink it every day.
When I was 16, my family moved to Akron, Ohio, and the old red-headed music maker, Wendell Hall, came in and did an amateur show an entire week at the Keith Albee Theater there, and there was 450 contestants, and I was one of them, and I just happened at the end of the week, I won first prize. Well, after I won that contest, I played some with Lum and Abner when they were in Cleveland. They had a Friday night social, they called it, and we were the Pine Ridge String Band. Then after that, Bradley Kincaid, who was one of the original folk singers of the country, he was one of the first. He came in and did a show in Akron, and a boy was with me, Harmonica Joe. He liked our act, and he took us to New England, and we played the entire New England coast, every little town in it, from Maine down to Newport, fashionable Newport. I played with most any of them. Hank Williams, of course, you'd think was big, and Eddie Arnold, and Hank Snow, all of them, most of them. That kind of banjo picking is called, the boys, the college boys now call it frailing, but we called it years ago thumb string picking or drop thumb picking. This old world keeps turning, most folks just follow along. Some gotta play their own way, gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, style and poetry, and that's why Dr. Pepper has originality. Go out and get yourself a Dr. Pepper. You'll be glad you did. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, that's root beer by the store. The most original soul freak ever in the whole wide world. Drink Dr. Pepper, drink Dr. Pepper, drink Dr.
Well, I'm from Scott County, Virginia. That's the southwestern part of Virginia. And I started recording in 1927. Eubie Carter was my husband's brother, and he married my first cousin, Sarah. So that's how we got the Carter family. A few years later, of course, my daughters, there's three of them, Helen, June, Anita, and also AP had a son and a daughter that sang some with them. The first radio show we had was in 1938. We came to the Grand Ole Opry in 1950, and we were on the Grand Ole Opry about 18 years, me and my three daughters. Well, I've worked with most of the Grand Ole Opry people, you know, like Roy Acuff, Minnie Pearl, and a lot of the older talent that was on the Opry long years ago. Bill Monroe and Charlie, I knew them when they were together. And they used to come up in Virginia, you know, where I lived, and I never missed a show when they'd come up to play around in our... Do you realize Dr. Pepper is the first sponsor we ever had when we started working together, me and the girls?
And you still like the product?
Oh, yes.
This old world keeps turning, and those folks follow along. But some gotta play their own way, gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. It's not a cola, it's something much more. It's not a root beer, there are root beers by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. Drink Dr. Pepper, drink Dr. Pepper, drink Dr. Pepper, drink Dr. Pepper, drink Dr.
When and where did the Swan Silvertones get started?
Well, it started in a coal mining town in Coretta, West Virginia. And we were sitting on the side of a fence there just as we come out the coal mine that day, and we decided we'd get together and harmonize a little bit. And I happened to be the oldest member and organized the group back in 1936.
I started with the Swan Silvertones, I think, in 71.
I joined the Swan Silvertones in 1959. I've been with them ever since.
I've been around the Swans for quite a few years. I won't tell how many because I'll tell something if I do.
Ever since I've been with the Swans, I have enjoyed everything.
They asked me to play, so I decided to, devote my time with them.
Where does gospel music come from?
Well, it come from way back years ago down in Mississippi, you know, when the slaves was getting together and they used to sing those old familiar hymns out there when they was picking cotton and like that, and it kept on going until up into this particular time. We love singing in churches. This is where we all started, and evidently every one of the fellas in here started out in the church.
First of all, I was raised up in the church, you know, and it's just been with me ever since I was a kid.
Well, I was singing ever since I was 7, and that was gospel. And all I knew is gospel.
I like it better than any other type of music.
I was brought up in gospel, and then I played guitar in church. I love it, and I intend to keep on playing gospel.
I just love gospel.
We would like to have had church here today, but we were doing it Dr. Pepper.
This old world keeps turning. Most folks follow along. Some gotta play their own way. Gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry. That's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, there are root beers by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. Drink Dr. Pepper, drink Dr. Pepper, drink Dr. Pepper. see you. Drink Dr. Pepper. Drink Dr. Pepper.
I was born and raised in Kentucky, and I learned to play there when I was a kid from my Uncle Penn Vanderbilt, you know, and my mother, she could play fiddle. And in 1939, I originated bluegrass music now, and that's what I've played ever since. There's more people playing bluegrass today than there's ever been, you know, and I guess it's the most copied music in the world today.
What was Grand Ole Opry like in those days? Who were you playing with? Who were the main people?
I believe Acuff was there, you know, and later on Tubbs come. Minnie Pearl was there, she come along, and Pee Wee King, and a lot of the old timers, you know, like the Gully Jumpers and Crook Brothers and people like that was there, and Uncle Dave Macon was there. Well, I wanted to get on the Grand Ole Opry because I knew that it would do a lot for bluegrass music in a way of getting it to the people throughout the country.
How long have you had that mandolin?
Well, I bought this mandolin in 1941. I found it in Miami, Florida, in a barbershop. And I believe they had to sign on for $125. And it's really been a good mandolin. It's got everything that you would need in quality, tone, rhythm.
Looks a little worn right there.
Yeah, it's really getting thin there. But I believe it'll last the time out. But it's been a great mandolin, and of course, it's worth a lot of money today for me.
Have you played for any famous people? I mean, any presidents?
I don't guess I ever played for the president, but I think this music's good enough to play for any president.
And you put it together?
I started the thing.
This old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play their own way, gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and forgery, and that's what Dr. Pepper has originality. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, it's not a cola, something much, much more. It's not a root beer, there are root beers by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in this whole wide world. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper.
Bob, how did the four freshmen get started?
Well, we were freshmen in college at Butler University in Indianapolis, and we started singing while we were going to school and decided we'd go out on the road for a couple of years and sing the type thing that we're doing and have fun with it, and we never got back to school.
Ross, what made your sound different than the other groups at the time?
There were a lot of ingredients, really. I mean, of course, just the vocal sound that we four make would make us sound different from four other guys. But we were singing with the lead on top, much like a section would play, a brass section or a sax section, which wasn't a common way for a male quartet to sing. And we were trying to sing chords like the five-part groups were doing, only there were just four of us, which meant we spread out a little different and sounded a little different even from the five-part groups. Well, as soon as we heard us singing that way, we didn't want to sing any other way. We loved barbershop, and we loved the Pied Piper's sound and the various quartet sounds that you could make, the Mills Brothers, Ink Spots, whatever. But as soon as we'd heard that, man, that was it. That was where we wanted to be.
Have your original fans stuck with you throughout the years?
I would say every one. Yep, really. We get out on the road and hit the four corners of the country, and we see these people, you know, and they say, hey, remember me? I saw you in 55, you know. We meet them all over.
Have you continued to pick up new fans, a new generation of followers?
We get people all the time, young people between the age of 10 and 25, and they just stand there at our concerts with their mouth open and say, I never knew anybody could do those things and sing those things and play those things, and how come I never heard of you guys before? And they become a fan. I've got a letter that you just brought me from a 13-year-old kid that sent a picture and wants me to write him back. He sent a picture, said he saw us in Fort Worth last week, and he's just crazy about the group, and he was going to quit band. He plays cornet, but he decided not to quit band since he heard the freshmen.
He discovered the four freshmen,
that's right.
A brand new group.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
This old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play their own way. You gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, root beer's by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. Dr. Pepper, 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 whole wide world. Dr. Pepper.
2, 1, 2, 3.
I was raised up in Chicago, Illinois, but I'm originally from Macomb, Mississippi. I started playing violin about 7, 8 years old, something like that. But a lot of people aren't aware of Bo Diddley, you know. But I'm here, and I've gone on to newer things. Right now I'm trying to get into country and western, which I'm going to do a little country and western, a little rock, you know, at the same time. And it's probably going to shock people, but I haven't stopped thinking yet. Well, I just come out of Australia not too long ago, and I'm on my way back, you know.
How was the reaction?
Destroyed them. Just totally destroyed them.
You know, my mother used to tell me, you can't have no coffee, boy, and make you black. I say,
I, for one, have to pat my own self on the back. I've been here 20 years doing this thing, and you've never read anything bad about Bo Diddley in those 20 years. I'm a deputy sheriff in Los Lunas, New Mexico. It's Valencia County.
Is it an honorary thing?
No, it's for real. It's for real.
Got it?
Yeah, it's for real. I patrol like everybody else. Honorary, you don't do them, but you just got a badge walking around your pocket. Mine is for real.
So don't mess around.
I'll get you if you don't get no Dr. Pepper.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play their own way. They gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor and a little style of poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, its originality.
Drink Dr. Pepper, run out and get yourself a case, baby. Because it's good for Bo Diddley, and Bo Diddley is good for Dr. Pepper, and it should do the same for you. Dig it?
It's not a cola,
It's something much, much more.
it's not a root beer.
There are root beers by the score.
Drink Dr. Pepper.
It's the joy of every boy and girl.
It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world.
What you say, girl?
Dr. Pepper.
Drink it?
Dr. Pepper.
You're right, baby.
Dr. Pepper.
Run out and get yourself a case.
Dr. Pepper.
You got to have some in your town.
Dr. Pepper.
Oh, dig it.
Dr. Pepper.
Do what Bo Diddley said.
Dr. Pepper.
Run and get yourself some
Dr. Pepper.
right away, because this
Dr. Pepper.
good for Bo Diddley.
Dr. Pepper.
It's got to be good for you.
Dr. Pepper.
get started?
Doing commercials. I've been doing commercials since I was 15. Well, I've been trying to get a recording deal since I was 17, and I finally got one when I was 21. We had put out 2 albums that did relatively well on Bell Records, and then that changed to Arista. And my producer is Vinnie Poncia, and the first song he had ever heard me sing was Midnight Blue, and we put that on the album, and that became the single, and we took care of it like a pregnant lady.
Do you know anything about Dr. Pepper? I mean, was that serious what you said?
No, I do drink it. I really do. It's good. Sugar-free is really good.
We want to thank you very much for doing it.
Sure.
We enjoyed it.
My
It's a
pleasure.
great track.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and.
I asked the man for a diet soft drink. He brought me a glass right away. Took one sip and suddenly knew it most likely wasn't his day. I looked at this drink in front of me, took another sip and told him no, it just can't be. This can't be a diet soft drink. It tastes too good to be true. It's sugar-free, Dr. Pepper. It tastes too good to be true. Now this can't be a diet soft drink. It tastes too good to be true.
I began as a child. I performed since I was 10 years old. I was in vaudeville back in those days, and I was always on my own until '54 when I acquired a bass player and a drummer. I've recorded with the bass and drummer ever since. Occasionally, I play with a large orchestra, sometimes as vast as the Boston Pops. But mostly we're at home at a place called the Café Carlisle, one of the world's last great supper clubs. We give a concert tour every year, and it's fun to travel from place to place and face new audiences and face new challenges. I think playing in a commercial for radio is something new and exciting in one's career. That fascinates me, changing around and doing different things constantly.
I asked the man for a diet soft drink. He brought me a glass right away. Took one sip, suddenly knew it simply wasn't his day. I looked at this drink in front of me, took another sip and told him, no, it just can't be. This can't be a diet soft drink. It tastes too good to be true. It's sugar-free, Dr. Pepper. It tastes too good to be true. It really is a diet soft drink. It tastes too good to be true. Gosh, oh gee, Dr. Pepper. It tastes too good to be true. Dr. Pepper. It tastes too good.
Well, I've been singing all my life, for as long as I can remember, in church and high school, talent shows. So I met Ike in 1957. I was still in high school, and I started going to clubs kind of early. And I'd asked him if I could sing with him, and he started giving me the runaround. Eventually, Ike was playing the organ, and one of the musicians set a microphone down teasingly for my sister to sing. We were at a club, and I took onto the microphone and started singing, and I realized that I could sing, and I started singing with him every weekend. That was in St. Louis, Missouri. Well, I started going to clubs like in '57, but Ike and I didn't get started until 1960. Ike was a musician. He was a local musician around St. Louis, Missouri, East St. Louis. He played all over the area of Missouri, white clubs, college things, and the clubs in St. Louis after-hour things. And he was very well known there. He had like a 9-piece band with 2 male vocalists. And then when I started, I was like the only female vocalist. I was just weekends because I was in school during the week. Ike got a hit record, Us, so to speak, in 1960. Us being was beginning up like Ike and Tina. It was a Fool in Love. I was like doing lead singing, but Ike is like always like led the band and so forth. We record here at our studio.
4 times of that basic cycle, and then there's that little release, little 3-bar release. So it's G, G, F sharp, G, G, F sharp, G, G, A. Okay, stretch that center part out a little bit.
Alright, let's see. I'll make it a 4-bar.
That'll work. Yeah, play that whole thing now.
What's the first note on that? Ba-ba-da-ba-da. What's that?
E, D, 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 A. Yeah. 1, 2, bridge. Sugar-free Dr. Pepper 60-second spot. Take 3. 1, 2. 1, 2.
He brought me a glass right away. Took 1 sip, and I suddenly knew it must have not been his day. I looked at the drink in front of me. I took another sip, and I told him, "No, this just can't be. This can't be a diet soft drink. It tastes too good to be true. Sugar-free Dr. Pepper. It tastes too good to be true."
We started singing as a group in 1922 when our father and mother came off of the road. They sang with a troupe. They sang in Chautauquas and light opera and things like that.
And then later on in the years, when we first came to New York, around 1929, 30, we had our own radio show. Been in radio since 1925 up until about 1936.
How many gold records have you made?
It would average out to about 1 a year.
How many years?
Well, we're in our 51st year now.
They started giving out gold records around 1941, 42. Well, we were making gold records as far as they considered, before they started to giving gold records. The first time we made a record was in 1927. And there were songs like we introduced as like Your Nobody, Sweetheart Now, Sweet Sue, Tiger Rag, Lazy Bones, Old Rockin' Chair, Bye Bye Blackbird, and things like that. They're standard songs today. And the 50s songs like Paper Doll, and You Always Hurt the One You Love, Glowworm, I'll Be Around, and so on and so forth, as they go today. Been around the world 16 times, played with all the royalty, and then just went to the White House last week and did this thing. We've done practically everything there is.
To what do you owe your originality?
To what do we owe it? I think we owe it to our mother and father because they taught us harmony.
This old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. Some gotta play their own way, gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, and its style and poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. Dr. Pepper, it's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, there are root beers by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper.
When did you start singing?
I started to sing when I was about 2.
About 2?
2 years old, I sang and danced in Toledo on a kiddie show.
Really?
Yeah, it was on every Saturday, and I appeared on the show. Then when I was about, 5 and a half, 6 years old, I went to New York with my Aunt Mary, and I was on the Major Bowles show and recorded my first hit, Music, when I was about 16 and a half, 17. I appeared on the Ed Sullivan show so many times. I did so much TV then that everyone thought, I died or something after I stopped doing so much television and just started to do nightclub work.
How many hit songs did you have in this period? The first one was Music.
Yeah, Until I Was Again With You, Ricochet, Sweet Old Fashioned Girl. Some of the R&B stuff that we covered was A Tear Fell, and
right.
A lot of those. I recorded with Duke Ellington and Count Basie, the world's greatest jazz band.
Yeah.
Bobby Hackett, the trumpet player. I appeared on his album. Oh, a lot of them.
What is it about your music that's unique?
I don't know what it is. I just have fun at what I'm doing, and I like singing, so it's got to be a good song, though.
This old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play it their own way, gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, there are root beers by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. And Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper.
My mother started me singing gospel songs with her when I was about 4. But my mother passed when I was 9, and I kept singing in the church. And as long as this preacher would play that electric guitar, it was the first time I ever heard one. And as long as he would play that, man, they had no problem getting me to church. So when I became 18, I went and serviced. And when I did, that's when I started singing the blues, and I've been singing them ever since. I first recorded for a company out of Nashville. I made 4 records for them, and then they went out of business. I figured that was the cause of it. So finally, some scouts from California heard me, and they asked me if if I wanted to record, and I've been wanting to do that all my life. In fact, I would have paid them to let me.
As a singer, player, performer, what do you think is your most original quality?
I try to be myself.
This old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play their own way, some gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. It's not a cola, it's much, much, much more. It's not a root beer, are root beers by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. Drink Dr. Pepper. Drink Dr. Pepper. Drink Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper.
What's been happening with your career, Lynn?
Gee, I'm doing so much and having a really good time. They've talked to me about several things, everything from, from movies and stuff. I just read for a part in Starsky and Hutch, which is fun. And I don't know if we'll get it, but I'd like to try something like that just for the heck of it, just to see if it would work.
Your career had an interesting start. Tell us about it.
Lawrence Welk called. So I picked up the phone and I called and he answered and said, "Hello?" And I said, "Mom, it's really him. What do you do?" So anyway, he asked me to come be on his television show as a guest. He was looking for someone to sing country music on his show. And after I did the guest appearance, he asked me to come be a regular on his show, a part of the musical family.
What kind of music influences your style? Who do you really like?
I like everyone from the Carpenters and Loggins and Messina and the Eagles and Merle Haggard and Ray Price and those kind of folks too, and Tammy Wynette,
Was your family influential in your career?
Yeah, my mother is a songwriter and a singer, and really it was her that got me started in this crazy business. She started writing songs and sending them in on demo tapes for singers to hear, and I'd do a little harmony with her and so on, and that's how we were both discovered.
This old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play their own way, they gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry, and that's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, there are root beers by the store. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. Dr. Pepper, the whole wide world. Dr. Pepper, the whole wide world. Dr. Pepper, the whole wide world.
Where are you from, Chuck?
St. Louis, right here.
St. Louis?
Right.
Yeah. When did you start appearing or performing professionally?
Music?
Yeah.
Oh, that was in 55 professionally, and about 51, I suppose. I first picked up the guitar. The body of the hits I had in 58 and 7, the school days, the Roll Over Beethoven's, Johnny B. Goods and things, they really began to have the impact in about 60, around 59, 60.
Who influenced your particular style of music?
Nat Cole is one of my favorites, and Glenn Miller, believe it or not, he is before everybody's time, but not before mine, Glenn Miller, because these swing bands of the late 40s was when I was in school myself, and, I really like boogied, we were jitterbugging then, but still boogieing,
What do you think contributed to your success and originality as a super rock star?
I suppose to be all these entities put together. For instance, my duck walk, as it's been named, the lyrics, not leaving out my management of myself, which is another phase, the ability to cope with the fast life that show business brings. In other words, not getting into narcotics or drinking or what have you. And a few other little minor vices that could have grown to be big ones,
What did you think about the taste of Dr. Pepper?
It was dynamite, man. Would you please give me that Dr. Pepper now?
1, 2, 3.
Whoa, this old world keeps turning, and most folks follow along. But some gotta play it their own way, they gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, there are root beers by the score. So drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. So come on now, drink Dr. Pepper. I want more Dr. Pepper. Give me more Dr. Pepper. Ah, it's Dr. Pepper.
Where are you from, Hank?
I was born on the Atlantic coastline down in the province of Nova Scotia. When I guess I did about every job that you could imagine. I did start to sea when I was 12 and sailed the sea for 4 years. And none of the jobs I had, I worked as a lumberjack in the lumber woods, and I sold newspapers from door to door. I was a Fuller Brush salesman, and you name it, I did it.
How did you get started in music?
Well, my mother was a great musician. As a matter of fact, Mother used to play the piano in silent pictures many, many years ago. And then she started to take up with the guitar, got a guitar through a mail order thing from New York. And she was trying to study to play a little bit on the guitar, and I got very interested in it. So, but I was actually always a lover of country music from way back to Vernon Dalhart, and then came the late Jimmy Rogers, who really inspired me. I did go to Montreal and made my first record, which I remember my first royalty check was $1 and something. And then, as I always phrase it, the good Lord guided my pen as I wrote the song I'm Moving On, which of course speaks for itself. And then, of course, I was in at the Opry, but that's the record that actually, or the song that helped establish me internationally. So I've been going ever since. I have a firm belief in the great Almighty, and I think without him I couldn't have done anything. I have only been married at one time. My wife, we just celebrated our 41st anniversary.
How did you like the Dr. Pepper recording session?
I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I hope Dr. Pepper sells a billion trillion.
This whole world keeps turning and most folks follow along. But some gotta play their own way, gotta sing a different song. They give life its flavor, a little style and poetry. And that's what Dr. Pepper has, originality. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper. It's not a cola, it's something much, much more. It's not a root beer, there are root beers by the score. Drink Dr. Pepper, the joy of every boy and girl. It's the most original soft drink ever in the whole wide world. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper.
Where are you from, Dana?
I'm Italian, born in Italy,
What city?
in Milan, northern part of Italy.
When did you come here?
Well, from Italy I went to South Africa. I went to school there. That's why I sound sort of mixed, I suppose, mixed Italian, English, American, everything. And I came to America in 1967.
How's your career going?
I have an album out, and my single was on the charts for 10 weeks. I had a single called Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow?
Do you prefer making records or performing to a live audience?
I love being on stage because the reaction of a live audience is so exciting and it makes you do different things. On the other hand, when you
you get into a studio like this, and you have an X amount of perfect musicians. It's the most exciting thing you can do. So as long as I'm singing, I'm happy. I like to sing things that I can perform and live, which probably doesn't make sense to anybody else, but I actually can live those words while I'm singing them.
A two, a 1, 2, 3.
Everyone tells me it's sugar-free. It's written on the bottle just as plain as can be. But I just tasted it and you can't tell me that this is a diet soft drink. Now I've been around and I can't spot one that is and one that's not. And from the taste that this one's got, can't be sugar-free. Oh, but it is sugar-free. Dr. Pepper, it tastes too good to be true. It doesn't taste like a diet soft drink. It tastes too good to be true. Yes, it's true. I can't believe it's a diet soft drink. Whoa, it's sugar-free Dr. Pepper. It tastes too good to be true.
Gladys, you've been singing since you were very young, haven't you?
Yeah, I started when I was 4.
Right.
And joined the group, the Pips, when I was 7.
How long have you and the Pips been together?
24 years.
24 years. It sounds like it.
Thank you.
When did you get your first chance, your first big break professionally?
Oh, that's so hard. Because everything that we've done has been in stages. Maybe when we did the Ed Sullivan Show, which had always been a dream of ours. And the first time we played the Copacabana, which was also a dream of ours. First gold record we got, which was in '67, which was also a dream.
Who do you consider your greatest influence in the business?
Our families are very important, which they never get any credit for the boost that we get. Wives and children and mothers and fathers that, helped us along. People in the business who taught us so much, like the old timers. When we came out, rock and roll was really in its heyday. And show business was different than it is now. And all the old hands like B.B. King and Jerry Butler was out there. And we just helped each other, and they taught us a lot.
What do you think it is that makes your music so great?
William, Edward, Gladys, and Bubba.
Everyone tells me it's sugar-free. It's written on the bottle just as plain as can be. But I just tasted it and you can't tell me that this is a diet soft drink. Now I've been around and I can spot one that is and one that is not. And from the taste that this one's got, it can't be sugar-free. Oh, but it is, y'all. Sugar-free, Dr. Pepper, it tastes too good to be true. It doesn't taste like a diet soft drink. It tastes too good to be true. It's sugar-free, Dr. Pepper, it tastes too good to be true.